On June 15th, the Buckeye City Council approved the adoption of the city's tentative budget for the fiscal year 2021-2022. Over the past year, the city's chief financial officer presented quarterly financial and capital improvement program updates to City Council. At each of these presentations, Council provided their input to help us plan for the fiscal year 21-22 budget. In February, each city department began preparing their budget for the upcoming fiscal year. This included requests for specific projects and any additional staff needed to continue providing quality service to you, our residents. On May 18th, the Buckeye City Council reviewed the first draft of the city's budget and provided input and direction to staff. Based on that input from Council, the city's tentative budget was approved at the June 15th City Council meeting. Adoption of the final budget is scheduled for July 6th at the regularly scheduled City Council meeting. We invite you to provide written comments on either the tentative or final budget by filling out the comment form at buckeyeaz.gov/budget. As in previous years, Buckeye will continue focusing on solid long-term financial planning to ensure our residents are receiving the services they expect now and in the future. The strategy for this year's budget is to use conservative revenue estimates, ensure the general fund is balanced, maintain adequate funding in our reserves, provide for built-in contingencies, continue investing in the future with new facilities and infrastructure, and to use the transaction privilege tax and fund reserves only for capital projects or one-time expenses. Buckeye's annual budget begins on July 1st of each year and runs through June 30th of the following year. Buckeye's overall city budget for fiscal year 21-22 is just over $392 million. This includes approximately $182 million for ongoing capital projects like street and utility improvements, $81 million to meet operating expenses, and $39 million in contingency funds. The budget balances the amount of expenses needed to operate the city with the amount of projected revenue or income the city receives from various sources. The pie chart shows the percentage and amount of expenses expected for fiscal year 21-22. And the table compares the difference in each expense from fiscal year 2020-2021 to fiscal year 2021-2022. Funding the operation of the city and capital projects requires income from a variety of sources, such as sales tax, license and permit fees, property taxes, state shared revenues, bonds, and grants. Our general fund revenues are the largest sources of city revenues, and the uses for our general fund are the largest source of expenses. Some of the key sources for the city's general fund includes $53 million from the transaction privilege tax, $34 million in state shared revenues, $19 million in building permit fees, $11 million in primary property taxes, and $4 million for franchise fees and leases. The table compares the difference in each revenue source from fiscal year 2020-2021 to fiscal year 2021-2022. Buckeye continues to invest in our future by improving the city's infrastructure and ensuring our current and future residents receive the quality services and amenities they rely on every day. Funding for these projects comes primarily from the city's general fund. This year, the general fund contributed nearly $7 million to enterprise-related capital improvement projects. Non-utility capital projects consist of new parks, buildings, and facilities. 48% of the capital projects for this fiscal year are non-utility type projects. Funding for these projects comes from the city's general fund. Enterprise departments like water and sewer are self-funded and pay for their own improvements to their infrastructure. 44% of the city's capital projects for this coming fiscal year are for water and sewer system improvements. The total amount of capital improvement projects for both non-utility and enterprise projects for fiscal year 21-22 is approximately $178.5 million. In budgeting and organizing capital projects for this fiscal year, we created categories that align with the City Council's priorities, such as the airport, parks and community development, public safety, public works, civil engineering, public works facilities, wastewater, and water. A few examples of non-utility capital projects include those at the airport, along with the expansion of Sundance Park, the Jackrabbit Park and Ride, the kitchen at the Senior Center, and the Aquatic Center parking lot. A few public safety projects include a new training center and communications tower for the police department, along with new traffic signals at some of the busiest intersections in the city. The Jackie A. Meck Water Campus is about 80% complete. This is the biggest capital project in the city's history and will improve water quality and reliability throughout the city. The city is also installing a new water line for commercial buildings at the Buckeye Airport and constructing new water reclamation facilities in 3 separate areas of the city: Festival Ranch, Tartesso, and Sundance. In addition to our capital improvement projects, the city is expanding several new programs operated by our Community Services Department. The Sundance Recreation Center is scheduled to open this September and offer a variety of special interest classes and events, while providing additional space to rent for meetings. Construction of Phase 2 of Sundance Park is underway, with scheduled completion in the spring of 2022. We're also expanding our sports programs into neighborhood parks so families can play closer to home, and our before and after school program will expand with the opening of 2 new elementary schools this fall. The expansion of these programs will ensure we maintain quality services for our residents now and in the future. Buckeye will continue to stay on strong financial ground with a balanced budget and conservative revenue estimates, maintaining adequate funding reserves for contingencies, investing in our future, and ensuring our current residents receive the same great services and amenities they expect from us. Our goal is to continue improving services to our residents, enhancing and maintaining the city's infrastructure while ensuring fiscal wellness, financial flexibility, and accountability to you. We'd love to hear your input on this year's budget. You can ask questions and provide your comments on either the tentative or final budget by filling out the form online at buckeyeaz.gov/budget. Thank you.